Excuse me. Can anybody help me here? Yeah, I'm here to pick up my check for Mindhunters.
And who are you?
I'm Val Kilmer. I was in the movie.
No. You're Mindhunters, the new series on Netflix?
No.
That it hasn't come out yet?
No, that's singular, I'm assuming.
Okay.
No, this is for Mindhunters. I'm Val Kilmer. I was the head instructor of the team, the leader, if you will, of these FBI people who are in this movie. I was in the movie. I'm here to collect my my salary for this movie.
That's weird. I thought you were British. Okay, sorry. Jonny Lee Miller.
Not Jonny Lee Miller. Val Kilmer. Okay, maybe they kind of rhyme a bit, but Val Kilmer.
Okay. Well, we've been watching the movie, I got to say, first of all. It's a fun ride.
Oh, thanks.
We've been enjoying it.
Good time.
But I've got some bad news for you. You're not in the movie. I mean, the tape kind of skipped a bit, but like we got to go and whatever, it's fine. You're not in the movie though. I mean, who are you?
Yes, I am. I'm the FBI and I'm the instructor who set up the simulation for these FBI cadets to learn to become profilers.
Well, you're not LL Cool J.
No, I'm Val Kilmer. I was in Tombstone.
Val. Are you? Kurt Russell. You don't look a day over 40.
Not Kurt Russell. I'm much taller. I'm Val Kilmer. I played Doc Holliday. I was in Top Gun. I was in Real Genius. I was in Top Secret. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer.
I'm sorry, and these are movies?
Yes. Huge hits.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, Mr. Val, is it like Valerie or like Valhalla? Is it short for something?
It's just Val Kilmer. Okay.
Okay. Well, listen.
Just get my check.
Listen, just take it easy. You go sit over there or whatever, Mr. Kilmer, and we'll get that.
It's Kilmer. I'm gonna go. Look, I am going to go sit. You go get this straightened out. Do not make me have to get Carol from accounting on the phone. It's Val Kilmer. Damn it.
Thank you, Mr. Balmer.
It's Kilmer.
Next.
I'm here to collect my pay for Mindhunters.
And who are you?
Right, pal, it's me. I'm Christian Slater.
Jack, you're looking younger these days.
Why does everybody say that?
Okay, well, Mr. Taters, just sit next to...
it's Slater. Look, have you seen Cuffs? It's a great movie.
Yeah, just take a seat next to Cal. I'm sure everything will be worked out. Were you one of the extras? Did you get to be in a movie?
No, I'm not an extra. I was like the leader of the group.
Were you on the screen? Did you make the final cut?
This is worse than Pump Up the Volume.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Hello. This is a podcast.
Whoa, we're not NPRing it right now, pal. Calm yourself.
It's time for the low
excite yourself.
haiku.
Come on.
Wait. My script's out of order. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Paper rustling, moving.
Just a sec. Disappointed!
Yeah, this is a podcast, and it's called What Were They Thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Brendan.
And I'm Nathan.
And we talk about bad movies and questionable movies and everything in between. And I'm just going to tell you, over the next while, I mean, we're going to be away from it for a couple months, but over the next while, we have a lot of Patreon picks to go through. I'm very excited. This is another Patreon pick here. This is actually from Erica. Erica from the Customers Also Watch podcast. She gave us this little ditty. And
I liked her last.
Nathan,
picture.
I just realized just now, this is our 5th Renny Harlin film.
Yeah, I don't. It's no Fort Fairlane.
Or Deep Blue Sea.
Right.
But we have with us today, because our movie is Mindhunters, which stars in the title role Val Kilmer. We have a Val Kilmer expert here with us today from his own podcast, the KilmerKast. Ladies and gentlemen, Francis Rizzo III.
Hi, how's it going?
From Banana upon Hampton in the great country of England.
You betcha.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just want to say first off, I had thought Val Kilmer was in more of this movie. So
I was expecting Val Kilmer to be more in this movie.
Yeah, at this point, after doing KilmerKast for quite a while now, every time I enter a movie with Val Kilmer, I expect him to kind of not be there after a little while. But, sometimes I get surprised and he shows up again.
Yeah, he's like, we need to film it in order, and also I'm leaving halfway through the shoot. So figure out how you're killing me.
And don't touch my ponytail.
Don't ever touch his ponytail. That's a war crime. Okay, so this is the thing. This movie says 2004, but I'm pretty sure it was set to be released the year before, and it was delayed for like at least a year.
Yeah, there was a rights issue.
I'm pretty sure I watched this in 2005.
That's about when I watched it, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the most recent time I watched it, guys, so this is going to go great. This movie had all kinds of production problems, delays. I didn't look into why. I think just it didn't get a good reaction from test audiences, and they just kept pushing it. But the budget for this thing was $27 million. Does anyone take a venture, with all that being noted, how much this movie scored at the box office?
$10 million.
The fact that it was released at the box office surprises me a bit. I would have figured it would have went straight to video, considering it was a Dimension film, so I'm going to say $8 million.
Wow. Actually, $21 million.
Wow.
What?
So is that global?
I think so. So it failed, but not astronomically, I guess.
Not as hard as we expected it.
Yeah. So good job. You didn't suck as much as you could have, I guess. Let's get into this movie, though. This is an outlaw production. I know
Weed Road.
Weed Road. Yeah, so many companies, which is always a good sign. You want to have as many logos as possible right at the top. That's when you know you're dealing with one mind, one clear vision.
I'll say this: the opening credits, or like the way they come across and the font and everything, it made me think, was this on A&E? Because it looks like it looks like it was made for like A&E or TBS or something like that. Like it looks at first, anyways, like a real made for TV movie type thing.
Yeah, it does have a very cheap look about it. Not as much as obviously a lot of the movies we talked about on this show, but for a movie with a budget of $27 million, it does have kind of a cheap look to it.
I was pretty surprised that there's no names at the beginning when you consider there are big names in this film, and they don't include any of them in the original titles.
I think Renny Harlin is like, he's thinking like, you're gonna get so invested in these characters, and the deep nuances and the writing. He doesn't want to distract you by knowing the actors' names.
Don't want to throw you off.
No, you're not gonna think of Christian Slater anymore. You're gonna think of whatever the fuck his character's name is.
Well, you might think of his character again, or his name again, because he's named the same as Heather's, JD.
Oh, is he? Wow. It's a reference because it's the exact same name. Well, we start off with a woman, what looks to be a woman nearly drowning, and then somebody else drowns, and we find out later this is Kathryn Morris's character, who plays Sarah, and this is her sister who drowned. So some backstory right at the top.
Yeah, she's sleeping in the car, which is very strange to do on the job. And it gets even stranger when we find out what exactly is happening in this scene. Because she has to be like a narcoleptic if she's falling asleep during what we find out is a training mission.
And that's just it too. Like, I mean, like without the knowledge that this is like a training exercise, you look at it and you're like, oh, it's they're on a stakeout or they're canvassing for leads because they're talking about this this killer that they're looking for.
Yep, this is Officers Christian Slater and Kathryn Morris, and
I think Agent Gleaming the Cube.
they think they're on a big stakeout. And right away, there's some weird thing. Like, for some reason, we get the, like, horror shot where we look through the window and think that someone's coming up to the window. And then we see Christian Slater, and he acts creepy for, like, 30 seconds just staring at her through the window. and then he taps on the glass. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that misdirect is a bit odd right off the bat here.
Yeah, and they talk about, there's a murder investigation. There's girls in the house. They think there are girls that have been killed, but then they hear them start screaming. Actually, before that, I want to note that Christian Slater literally says, "Your turn." Makes her go into the house by herself.
Yeah, okay, and that was right there. That was a red flag for me. I mean, if you're sending people out as partners, normally you're not knocking on doors alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't normally go back and forth. You don't want to split up in an investigation. And they run in and find a whole lot of dead animals just strewn all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed by the FBI's budget for set decoration.
Yeah, thank you. I wrote that down as well. I said they are spending way too much money on production design. Like, this is not an important aspect of this training.
No,
and which is weird because it's the Bush years.
Right? Cut that money. Where did the cuts come from? Where did they come from? We want to know. Guys, I'm just going to make a bold statement. I don't think George W. Bush should be president anymore.
You're going on a limb there.
And I know the political waters are really heating up right now, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
Hot take.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. I don't want to get us canceled from Age of Radio. And then they find like some dead bodies, and they're like, "Oh, I guess the killer is already dead." But no, the killer pops up out of nowhere and grabs Sarah,
like an RKO.
That's right. He grabs Sarah, and the worst gunplay ever. Like, he stabs her,
God.
and then Christian Slater and he are just shooting at each other like maniacs. I'm like, I still, up to this point, I still think this is a real scene. So I'm like, what is happening? And then, of course, everyone, quote unquote, dies. The lights come on, and we find out it was all a simulation. Wah wah. I felt ripped off a little bit.
Which I'm gonna tell you, when I first watched this movie, I legitimately thought that that's what was gonna end up being the end game of this fucking movie.
Oh,
yeah. At least I was pleasantly surprised that wasn't what happened at the end.
Oh, you thought that the whole thing was a simulation?
Well, for the longest time, yeah.
Considering how some of the characters die, that would have been amazing.
Right?
Now you're talking special effects budget.
Yeah, now you're sending in like Greg Nicotero and Tom Savini. Like, what is the FBI doing with? They've got way too much free time.
Stan Winston's on the payroll at the FBI.
Can we get K&B effects in here? Like, it's all a simulation. But you know what isn't a simulation? Val Kilmer standing around eating cake. just a plate with a piece of cake on it, and he's making gross mouth sounds.
Honestly, this is why we love Val Kilmer, because he's the only guy who can walk into a scene like this eating a piece of cake and just take over. He has that charisma that he can do basically anything, at least at this point. I was watching this, and then I was watching MacGruber, and I was like, oh man, this was kind of his prime, his second prime almost, because obviously his 80s was his massive prime, but in the 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, he really came into this like heavy role where he was playing real tough guys, and it was a whole new world for him. But he still had that same fun energy, fun charisma that he brought to the roles, and I mean, when I saw him here, I was like, wow, I'm really excited about what's going to happen in this movie.
And all the screen time that he's going to have.
Well, I did not know at the time.
Yeah, so he's just eating a piece of cake, and he's getting all mad because they basically failed. He said, you failed the simulation, and Val Kilmer, we learn, is a bit of a loose cannon, because he's doing these simulations. He's doing this work that the government doesn't really like him doing. He's going a little far, spending a little too much money, because God knows they have already spent all of it again on the production design for these places.
For this escape room.
Yeah, they can't have Val spending more money on training. Or maybe that is Val that spent all that money on production design. He's like Stanley Kubrick, and he's like, I know this needs to be authentic. I want you to kill all of the animals the day before and put them in here. I want the smell.
Yeah, between the setup in the house and then you look at that headquarters where they have the next scene in the classroom, the FBI is spending some serious money.
Yeah, they go to their, I guess, like post-briefing classroom session, and Val's just going on and on about how some of you did well and some of you not so much.
I don't know why they didn't combine these two scenes. It felt like it was unnecessary to have two different locations for this, because it's basically the same idea. He berates them first in the house, and then he berates them again in the classroom.
It's almost like...
Well, because isn't the classroom where he sets them up with their dossiers for what they're going to be doing this weekend?
I guess, yeah, but I still feel like it was kind of the same idea between the two scenes. They could have just done that over a voiceover.
Yeah, or cut from... Not even had the piece of cake scene. Just cut from that to the classroom.
Whoa, Brandon, let's not be nuts here, okay?
Well, he could have had the piece of cake in the classroom.
That would have been great if he had it in both spots.
Great.
Listen, the FBI is spending way too much money. I'm just trying to help. Bring their budget down.
If he had a piece of cake in both scenes and just kept eating it, that would have been awesome.
Where'd he get the cake?
I would have loved if he had a piece of cake in his last appearance in the movie. It's like, that's our Val. Cut to a bar with the most 2004 song of all time playing, as we see that you know what a bunch of FBI people do when they're FBI whatever do when
profilers.
They're not profilers yet. I think they're
profilers in training.
Yeah. Well, what do these guys and gals do when they're not on the job? Well, they go to the bar and see how many people they can profile correctly. And you have all these things like, they're checking out this girl. It's like, oh, she's got a J on her keychain. She's either a Jill or a Jen. And, she's looking at that guy. That means she's that guy that's smoking. That means she just quit smoking, and she's looking at that cigarette. Christian Slater makes a really weird offhand comment where he's talking like Patricia Velasquez, who plays Nicole, and he's like, your demons could fill this table. I'm surprised that any of us can even sit here. I'm like, wow, geez, low blow, Christian Slater.
Yeah, that's they're all having a little fun, and he's coming in with the heavy psychological damage to her.
They're just like doing this for a while. The most hilarious part is they're like, oh, this guy's looking for a hot blonde. Oh, he kissed a guy. He's a gay man. We were wrong.
Well, they were right about the blonde.
Hey. Renny Harlin knows how people talk.
Very natural.
You saw Ford Fairlane.
I did.
Let's not talk about that anymore.
I will talk about that every day and twice on Sunday, thank you, sir.
All right. Booking my time off now. Bobby, one of the guys is Bobby. I don't remember the actor that plays him. I think that's
Eion Bailey.
Is that guy? Okay.
I think that's how you say it. Eion Bailey.
Three of the actors kind of melded together for me.
Oh, absolutely. When I was looking at the table, I was trying to figure out who's who, because they said names, and I was like, that could be Rafe, that could be Lucas. They all look the same.
For the most part, except like Christian Slater sticks out, Patricia Velasquez, just like a few here and there that I already know. But other than that, Jonny Lee Miller, it's pretty much.
I gotta ask about Jonny Lee Miller.
What accent is
Please
he doing?
do.
This is it, right? It sounds like he's trying to go for like this southern drawl, Texan or something like that. But there's a guy sitting at the table with a British accent. Why couldn't they just let him have his accent?
My guess would be that Southern serial killers are just a little more creepy.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Well, we don't know which one they are.
That's
you know?
right. I spoiled it.
They could be all of them.
No,
And I actually must say, it could be all of them because, as we will talk about, the plot doesn't make any sense at any point.
everyone's a suspect. Yeah, no, Jonny Lee Miller, I don't know what he's doing. But you mentioned the Southern drawl, but sometimes, guys, it's not there at all.
No, it's not because I love Jonny Lee Miller, man, but this Southern accent is no. I would have rather his Ferris Bueller accent from Hackers reappear than this Southern thing that he's trying to do.
Yeah, I'll take Crash Override any day.
Yeah, exactly.
But we do also meet Clifton Collins, who, again, the only reason I know it's Clifton, I know it's this character, is because he's the only character that's in a wheelchair. Like, he at least has something different from the other characters.
I'd forgotten he was in this movie, actually.
Yeah.
You mentioned the wheelchair. When did you notice he was in a wheelchair? Because I didn't get it until they were walking on the island.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, because when you see him later in the wheelchair for the first time, I thought he just found one and was having fun. Like, I was like, oh, okay, he's just goofing around. And then when he never stood up, I was like, oh, wait, I see what's happening.
You'd think at that scene around the table where they're establishing them all as personalities, you would maybe have somebody mention it.
Or see him leave in his chair, like something.
Yeah.
Even when they had like that whole discussion about like where he read he snuck and read Kilmer's
Dossier?
take on them, his dossiers or whatever. Yeah. No, his assessments. That's the word I'm looking for. His assessments of them, saying that Clifton Collins, wasn't going to make it as a profiler. And then, of course, not Anne Heche wasn't going to make it as a as a profiler either.
Our main character, Sarah, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgettable.
Yeah. Yeah. They put the top star in the lead role.
And it felt at that point that he could have at least made some sort of like embittered argument about how he was being unfairly judged because he was in the wheelchair, and that's why they weren't going to make him a profiler.
Yeah.
Something that would have brought attention to the fact that he was indeed in a wheelchair.
Just so I know which character's which.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they bought a 3-pack and didn't separate them.
But he does, yeah. He tells Sarah, they're both not going to make it. Cut to, they're going to the island, to this island with Val Kilmer for the weekend and
of misfit toys.
Misfit toys, that's right. And who should appear?
Who wants a Charlie in the box? He was the killer.
I would have loved that. but you know who does show up, guys, is veteran of this podcast, LL Cool J, who you may remember from Rollerball and Deep Blue Sea.
Another Renny Harlin.
Yep.
My hat's like a shark fin.
And I think he's playing the same character. But LL Cool J is an FBI profiler, or he's a police officer.
No, he's not. He's presented as a Philadelphia police officer.
Okay, because I thought they said he was a profiler from Philadelphia. That's why I was confused.
No, he's a police profiler, not an FBI profiler.
Yeah, and the reason why he was going along is because, well, what he said anyways is that he was going to get the extra training because somebody had pulled some strings for him so he could attend this training exercise with the police, for the police rather, with the FBI. So
he comes with them. They go onto the island, and again, another example of too much spent on the production budget on this island. There's like fake people everywhere, and just bullet holes riddled in all of these. What I'm assuming are supposed to be innocent people. Like, they say that this is the training ground, and I'm like, how many people did an awful job here? Because
I was like, man. I looked at it and I was like, this reminds me of Nuketown from Call of Duty.
They arrive on the island. They Val gives them the rundown. There's a killer here. He's already killed 2. He's going to grab his 3rd victim. And Christian Slater, you're going to be the head of the team. Again, I hadn't seen this in 15 years. Yeah. Bye. Goodbye to everyone. I'm leaving the movie.
I was very bummed at this point, I have to admit, because I was like, wait, is that it? That's all the Val Kilmer we get?
That's all. But Christian Slater is the head of the team, and again, having not seen this in 15 years, I was like, oh, of course he's the lead. That makes sense. I was tricked. I was tricked into believing that he was going to be the main guy.
You got executive decisioned.
I did, but you know what? I would have been a lot happier in executive decision.
Yes.
Oh no, I don't get to watch Steven Seagal anymore. Oh. We get a montage.
A montage.
A lot of cooking, some Rubik's cubing. While LL Cool J is solving a crossword puzzle with the last name, I guess Elba. So I guess the clue is actors I wish I was. Meanwhile, Christian Slater is just like, why would you even be assigned here? Like, what is your actual job? And LL Cool J is like, don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later in the movie.
Because this is where they start to profile each other.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah, if nobody else is around,
no.
They're going to turn on each other.
Which I will say, they go from highly trained FBI agents pursuing a career as criminal profilers to Lord of the fucking Flies in no time flat.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think you're being watched if you're going out on an island like this to be trained. Like, you're not going to just get to do this on your own. So, yet they just go wild. They start... I mean,
pointing guns at each other. So many standoffs. Many standoffs in this movie.
Of the Mexican variety.
Yeah. I gotta ask, before we get really rolling, how did all the fucking cats get on this island?
Who's feeding them?
Right? It is an island that we are supposed to think that this is just a training ground for FBI and, well, actually the military. Because Kilmer says that he gets it for like 1 weekend of the year, like some weird divorced dad or something.
I was thinking it was like a timeshare.
Yeah, and so all these cats are there on the island,
Jellicle
and I'm like,
cats.
nobody lives there.
No.
So how are these cats thriving? And I'm not talking. Well, I'm saying cats. Plural, because there are several cats in this movie.
Yeah, because we see one dead cat and we think, oh, it was just a random cat. But then there's like 6 or 7 other cats later in the movie. And you're like, wait, what's going on? Maybe Renny Harlin just likes cats.
Wow, who could blame him?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe this was his shot at me. He wanted to finally make that Cats movie. He never got his chance.
Shit.
Genital cats, genital cats.
Renny Harlin's Cats. Oh,
I would watch the shit out of that.
That would have been.
I watched the hell out of the actual one. I'd watch any cats.
I watched
love
it
cats.
once for this fucking podcast.
Fucking greatest film ever made. But yeah, LL Cool J fires back at everyone and he's like, all this profiling thing you're doing, it's bullshit. I could profile you too. It's just surface level stuff. And he starts doing it back to them. And then we learn, after seeing Christian Slater's butt, or I guess his double, whatever it was, we learn that he and Nicole, a.k.a. Patricia Velasquez, are having a little bit of an affair. But it's never really brought back. Like, that's kind of it. Like, it's not really...
Well, I mean, they don't really get an opportunity to.
Well, no, I know that. But it's weird that they even introduce that. Like, it's just a weird detail. I guess they're like, Renny Harlin's like, yeah, see, now the characters have characters, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're all together in this, this small space that they're sleeping in at night. Did nobody gonna see that these two are in the shower together? I mean, it's not like, nobody else took a shower in this place. They all were getting ready.
No, everyone smells real bad. And we see that Jonny Lee Miller and Sarah have a little bit of a connection as well. He
starts doing his best Tex impression.
Oh my god! And he's like, I was banging chicks and smoking and drinking, and then I turned 11.
Then I turned 11. I actually have a note. When they went outside, it reminded me of the Ace chemical plant from Batman, Tim Burton's Batman.
I have to admit that gag made me laugh. The bit about then I turned 11. It made me laugh. I mean, I think part of it was the accent, sure, but
the accent is so strange. Yeah,
has any
their
English actor done a good Southern accent?
Oh well,
Liam Neeson in Next of Kin.
That is incorrect.
Because right now I'm thinking of Knives Out, and that's a great terrible one. It's a great terrible accent.
Yeah, but it definitely like an intentionally. It's a
Bizarre
choice.
accent.
It's a very conscious choice of an accent. we soon get to our first little bit of oh shit, something's going on, because somehow Sarah is like, I think she's like brushing her teeth, but somehow she walked up to do that and walked right past the dead cat hanging out of the ceiling. Like, because
they didn't tell us that she has one dead eye and she can't see out of that side.
She turns on the light and it's just right there, and I'm like, girl, you didn't just wake up there, did you? and then inside the cat, which has been like, cut up or whatever, there's a little clock and it says 10 o'clock.
Also known as a watch.
No, well, I mean, yeah, whatever. It looks like a little clock, though. It doesn't look like a...
It's a little clock that if you put it on a band, you could put it on your wrist. I don't know...
But it doesn't have a band. It looks like a little alarm clock.
It's a watch face.
You're a watch face.
You're a watch face.
Ooh.
But it says 10 o'clock. And they're like, oh, no, what does this mean? Oh, well. They just kind of move on.
Better go about our daily business.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going around the dead city, I guess, and like trying to like figure out because they figure, okay, this is just the start of our investigation. We have to figure out. Mm-hmm. So they're like looking around, and there's all these like funny lines. Like they go into a house and like dinner at Harris's house, past the nuts, because Harris is Val Kilmer. We should note. We've just been calling him Val Kilmer because, I mean, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, he's Val Kilmer.
He's Val Kilmer. Clifton Collins, by the way, earlier in the movie when he was talking about how Val Kilmer wasn't going to give them the job as a profiler, and he said because he lacks focus or whatever. And then in this scene, he literally, LL Cool J is like, come help me do something. And he's like, I'm on vacation.
Well, he's saying that because he already knows that he's not getting the gig because he's read the dossier that says that he's not going to get the recommendation.
I don't know.
That being said, I've had the very same type of discussion with my youngest where it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm probably not going to recommend that you get this thing. But if you sit back and go, you know what? If you're not going to give it to me, I'm not going to do anything. That's not going to make me go, you know what? You're right. I should give you that thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that doesn't really speak to... Like, if you were telling me, like, oh, I'm a hard worker, and then I'm like, okay, well, you didn't get this job, but maybe next time. But how about help me here? And you were like, no, fuck that.
I mean, you didn't give it to me the last time, so I'm no longer a hard worker.
Like, why do you think you didn't get that, maybe?
Yeah.
And you've got this guy who does these mind games with his students. You don't think that maybe he thought you might have looked in his files and he used that as like a little, like, test to see what you were going to do about it?
It's a shame that he could not have been in the movie longer so that could have been a thing.
He seems to be 5 steps ahead. Everyone's a suspect. Don't worry, guys. Val Kilmer shows up later.
Spoilers.
Well, I didn't say how he shows up. But
I gotta ask, why did they bother with all the rotten food filled with bugs and maggots?
Oh, just to gross people out.
To feed the cats.
Yeah, that's how the cats are. That's how the cats are living.
I guess.
They do go into a store though and find a body strung up, and we find out that the killer is apparently calling himself the puppeteer. And
we already knew that because Kilmer told us that. Yeah.
Kilmer.
Now we have an idea why he's the puppeteer, puppet master, whatever it is.
I feel that they should have called the killer Rube Goldberg.
Yes, because well, explain why, Nathan.
Wait, before we get into that though, before we get into that part of it, so they are in this toy store now, and they find the first victim, and they argue about what to do next. This is their last mission before graduating this course. How do they not know what to do next in an investigation? How?
It does seem like some pretty lackadaisical training on Quantico's part.
Yeah, like if this is why they're not going to graduate, I understand now why Kilmer's not going to graduate them, because they're terrible at their jobs.
That's what I mean. None of these people are good profilers.
So they're standing around. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
like the little clock that was inside the cat said, also known as a watch.
Thanks.
And this music starts playing, and Christian Slater pushes back his hair and decides he's going to press stop on this boombox that's playing the music. He presses stop. It kicks open the speaker, which starts a literal domino effect. because we get this huge like domino chain up, and there's marbles involved, and things get cut, and things get pushed over, and I'm just like, they're watching this the entire time.
Seriously.
Yeah, they're just
Okay, so
standing
this
there.
whole thing, it goes on for like it felt like a minute at least.
Yeah.
And they watch it, and it comes down, and finally it unleashes a tank of liquid nitrogen, which freezes Christian Slater, and then he shatters like T-1000.
Yeah. And
They watch this whole thing.
Not only that, but the spray of liquid nitrogen explodes his shins somehow. like explosively blows out his shins. Now, recently
That's pure
I had
Renny Harlin, baby.
Yeah. Recently, I had to have a wart taken care of, and I went to the dermatologist, and they used liquid nitrogen on it, and so I'm an expert in this field, and so they blew it. They put liquid nitrogen on my finger for, I'd say, 5 minutes, and my fingers didn't explode. So I don't know what's happening in this scene.
So
what is the idea here?
Not only that, but they watched this Rube Goldberg device go for like a minute, and nobody decided to like trace ahead of what was happening on this intricate yet superfluous device, and go, oh, hey, that tank, that's got liquid nitrogen. We should probably stand clear of that, because that's going to factor into this. Had that happened, nobody would have died.
Even if you didn't think it was the tank that was going to be the problem, I'm not an FBI profiler.
Oh.
I know it's a surprise. I didn't go to Quantico.
well, you can leave.
I've seen a lot of movies. So if I'm hunting a serial killer and suddenly stuff starts moving around, I leave real quick.
You get out of the room before shit blows up.
And also, like, the nitrogen tank doesn't just collapse immediately. It's like, so like, you see that falling, get out of the way.
Or, reach out and catch it.
Yeah.
They have no reaction speed at all. They just all stand there.
Christian Slater literally explodes. He just breaks into pieces. And I gotta
Which
say,
is when I originally was watching when I first watched it way back in the before time, in the long ago, I was like, okay, so it's not going to all be a simulation.
I was still hoping. I was still holding out hope.
They were going to put him back together like Humpty Dumpty.
Yep.
I was very impressed that they killed off one of their biggest stars right away, though. I mean, that's not something this movie had to do, unless he, of course, had a hard out at day 2 and he had to get going.
Arguably, he was on par with Kilmer as far as box office draw at this point. Because he was just, maybe he was coming downhill, but he was still had that kind of bad boy quality to him. He had been to rehab, he had been to jail, so he had some, like, at least some tabloid draw. So of all the people who were in this movie, Val Kilmer to leave as early as he does, and for them to kill Christian Slater as early as they do, I feel that a lot of folks who went to see this movie were like, I don't really much care for this now.
Well,
I mean, he was on Alias. He was on The West Wing at that time.
Right.
So, not doing bad. I mean, it was guest roles, but, you don't get those guest roles if you're not a decent name.
And Hard Rain happened like a few years before, so I mean that was out of people's minds.
I was to say that was like 98 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, our next clue is a watch that says 12 o'clock, and they're like,
Was
"Oh,
it like a small clock?"
It was a small clock that you put on your wrist." So they say, "Oh, something's gonna happen at 12 o'clock." You know what? Fuck this. Let's get off the island. And I said, "You know what? That's the first smart thing you said, movie." But they go and trigger some. They walk past some like digital fucking tripwire, and the boat that's there blows the fuck up.
And that's the thing. They're heading for the docks, running for the docks to get on the boat to get away. They just fucking leave Clifton Collins trying to get down the hill.
Up on the rocks.
Nobody helps him.
I'm assuming they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back around.
No, they're not.
Still, kind of a dick move.
Maybe they think he's guilty right away. So yeah, that boat blows up, and they're like, you know what? Let's just go to that weapons locker that exists.
Yeah, because Clifton Collins takes a gun out of his butt.
Jesus Christ. That explosion when the boat blows up and they go flying, is one of the worst CG shots I've ever seen.
That's bad. It's real
They're
bad.
all going in different directions, all at the same time at the
yeah.
camera. Oh, I love that shot.
It feels like a mid-90s explosion. It does not feel 2004. Like, it looks really bad.
Does it feel $27 million worth?
I feel like they could have got better for that price.
Don't forget, they probably had like maybe legitimate $10 million to spend after they paid for Val Kilmer and Christian Slater.
More stupid pitter-patter back and forth. Jonny Lee Miller is like at one point, like he even has like a high school moment where he asks Sarah, like, have you always had a thing for me? I'm like, I don't care, movie. Why are we doing this?
This is while she's hauling splinters out of his shoulder.
Yeah. We also have a great line from LL Cool J where he's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, who's the next motherfucker to go?
Gotta display them skills, man. He's got the skills to pay the bills. He's got to show it, right?
That's right. Is that as good a line as Vince's line? My gun goes where I go.
I don't know.
We get our first. I think we get it. This is where we get our first big standoff, isn't it?
We do. And by the way, I just want to say the best line, my favorite line, is still yet to come, and it's much later in the movie. But I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a first standoff because Jonny Lee is freaking out because he went over to where LL Cool J is staying and found out he had a bunch of maps to the island. And he's like, how do you all have all these maps? It's like you're planning something, huh? Or sorry. It's like you're planning something, huh? and they all start like well, they don't point guns yet, I don't think. Or he does point his gun at LL Cool J.
Yep.
And but then all of a sudden they all start to get a little sleepy. And everyone starts...
The coffee was drip.
Which starts off, by the way, with the most hilarious shot of LL Cool J just falling down.
It just
I did like...
Everybody passes out at this point from the drugs. And obviously we know the answer to this. But Lucas is not in the room when the scene starts. When they're all making... He comes in after. Lucas is Jonny Lee Miller.
Thank you.
He comes in after the scene starts, after they've all drank the coffee. And yet he's one of the ones passing out. Nobody questions where he was at this point when everybody was worried that somebody was the killer. But one guy is missing and nobody questions, A, that he's going to be killed, or B, that he's the killer.
Nope.
Again, these people are terrible at their job, and Val Kilmer is 100% right to not pass any of them.
No, because you know what happens? They all blame the black guy. They basically say, you're the outsider here. And I'm like, whoa, movie. Calm down don't get any crazier with your terminology here.
I think that's not what they were going for.
I know, but it's weird that the one person of color is positioned as that guy. But they all get up and start blaming LL Cool J, and he's like, I didn't even make the coffee. Who made your coffee? And when he said, your boy Sherlock Holmes made the coffee, I was really hoping he was going to be pointing to Jonny Lee Miller.
Wouldn't that have been fucking brilliant?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Like a prophecy movie. That's what this thing is.
It's really helping. But he was pointing to Rafe, so they're like, Rafe, you gonna take this, man? You gonna keep your head on a swivel about this? And he doesn't, because it falls the fuck off.
But which is odd, because at that point he legitimately could have put his head on a swivel.
That's right. And it just goes. It's just like like they push him back, and his head just pops off backwards, and then we find out that all of his blood has been drained. And I'm like, what? No.
So yeah, exactly. How? So at this point now we got one person who is who was killed and drained of all their blood. We also had an opportunity where somebody was able to set up all those dominoes in the toy store. Have you ever set up dominoes?
Yes, thank you. I want to know how Jonny Lee Miller, spoiler alert, got away in time to set up that absolutely ridiculously intricate Rube Goldberg device.
Yeah.
At that point, everybody was awake at night before this all happened. There's no time for him to get away, do all this stuff, and then come back. I think LL Cool J was even outside watching what was going on, and somehow he gets away with all this.
And here's the thing: even if he had gotten away at like 3 a.m. while everybody else was asleep, the amount of time that it would have taken him to set that up, get back to the barracks, pretend to go back to sleep, and then wake up, he should have been dragging ass all day long.
And with all these cats on the island, one of them would have knocked down the dominoes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a good point.
Put anything that stands up on its edge on a table, a cat will knock it off.
True. Preach. So we find out that LL Cool J has been sent in to monitor Val Kilmer's character.
Right, he's like IA for the federal government.
Yeah. And still no one is buying that story. They're like, no. When's the next trap? Where is it? How are you doing this? Why are you the killer? What's your real first name?
They find 2 little clocks, don't they?
They do.
Yep.
That you could put on your wrist.
Yeah. They find 2 wrist clocks. And they have Clifton Collins keeping an eye on LL Cool J. Even though I gotta say, now I'm not gonna say anything. I don't want to disparage people, but you have the one character do you think maybe they should have made the one character in a wheelchair watch the other guy?
Well, they did lock him up. They chained him to the wall, so...
True, but I mean, if something goes wrong...
Right.
He's not going to get tired of sitting there.
It's true.
Fair
point.
I thought it was interesting that they found 2... They at this point, they had found 2 singular wrist clocks, and had
a lot of blood.
Right. And deduced that, okay, we found one person died. We found 2, we found another one person died. They found a pair. Now, arguing that, using some sort of logic, that would tell me that the next set trap is designed to kill 2 people.
Sounds right.
That's what I would have thought.
Yep.
Right?
Are you sure you're not a profiler?
Well, I mean, I at least would have gotten the recommendation from Val Kilmer. I found it rather odd that they decided, let's everybody split up into pairs.
Yeah. Not a bright move.
It's at this point, or maybe it's even earlier, where this movie is just a slasher movie and these are dumb teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, they don't act like profilers. They just are bodies. They're just corpses waiting to get killed. Like,
yeah.
And so they're looking around. They're looking at all these numbers are written in Rafe's blood, because all this blood was drained, which, again, this must have taken a long time.
Again, he drained the body first and then wrote conservatively about 1,000 numbers on the glass of this thing.
I will give them this. Everybody was knocked out for about 5 hours, I think, because the second clock that they found that goes on your wrist was set for noon. Mm-hmm. And that's when Rafe would have died. But when they wake up, the next ones are set for it was 6 or 8 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and they speed up definitely.
Yeah, and they're like, we've only got an hour and a half. So they were drugged and knocked out for a long time.
So eventually,
I still don't think it was enough time for him to drain an entire body of all of its blood and then write about 1,000 numbers on the wall.
No, but it's
and also set up this trap.
But it's close. But they eventually decipher that the numbers that they find are representing light, like the speed of light. So they turn off the light, and it turns out that everyone's jackets are like a hotel bedspread, because they use. I was just like, whoa, someone
using the CSI lights to see them.
I was just like, someone got up and just fucking started jerking it all over the back of their coats.
I would have given them credit if they actually used that as as the way this was done, because
someone jizzed all over our clothes. What the fuck?
I'm not worried about a killer anymore. I think we just got a creep in our midst. But yeah, they all have different letters assigned to them on the back of their coats. Thank God they were all wearing coats and no one wasn't wearing a shirt at the time. That's all I'm going to say. Then they all find that they have letters, and meanwhile, over where Clifton Collins is, he's watching LL Cool J, but then he sees he hears someone down the hall, and a light panel just fucking falls, and he's like, "Hey, you know what's a good idea? Keep going towards that."
Yeah.
And he just keeps going forward, and all these light panels are falling, and then fucking water comes out, and we're like, "Oh no, he's gonna get electrocuted." So he's climbing the pipes and everything, and LL Cool J's like, "Throw me your gun, trust me. I'll
throw me the idol. I'll throw you the whip.
throw me the whip. Don't look at it. Don't look at the water." And eventually Clifton Collins is like, oh, fuck it. And he throws him his gun. LL Cool J starts like shooting out the plaster in the wall. And
He like makes a MacGyver rock wall.
he gets in there and fucking turns off the electricity. And Clifton Collins is able to land safely on the ground. I mean, as safe as he can.
Which I'm going to say this. I know it's an old facility, but they make mention of breakers. Okay? I feel once all the electricity started getting the over ramp from the electricity from all the live wires hitting the water, that those breakers would have hit themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever turned the microwave on and something else and then just pop?
It would have blown the breaker. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So anyway, yeah. So he shuts it off, and at that point, actually, guys, because I had forgotten everything about this movie, I actually thought here Clifton Collins might end up being the villain. I don't know why, but I thought this movie's dumb enough to have it be like, and then I'll just climb the pipes, and then I'll expect LL Cool J to save me, and just in the nick of time. Because I've seen movies like that where they go to such dumb lengths to make you think someone is innocent. And I thought it wouldn't be the stupidest thing if he ended up being the killer.
Well, actually, there were several parts in this movie where I thought the reveal was going to be that he wasn't wheelchair bound.
Yeah, no, that too. I thought that maybe what happened
Because there's several times we see his legs kind of twitch. And they make a point to show it on the camera. Nobody notices it, but they make a point to show it on camera. And I'm like, I bet I shouldn't have bet, but and so that way, I don't lose a whole bunch of money because that's not what ends up being happened. But I think I might have respected it a bit more had that been the twist or for the outcome.
Yeah. Especially when they left him up on the hill. I thought maybe
he was just dedicated to it. Yeah,
waited behind, slowed up a bit and let them get onto the dock and blow up. I was like, and that didn't work for him. So now he's like, oh, I got to do something else.
Yeah. We're making this movie better. We need to get Renny Harlin on the phone and say we have fixed your mistakes, sir.
By the way, LL Cool J has plenty of experience climbing around these pipes and everything while water is rushing in, and he did it in a Renny Harlin movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a sequel.
Didn't have a jaunty parrot though.
No, he just had Clifton Collins. So now everyone trusts LL Cool J. They're all good with him now because all it took was saving a life. And I don't. Who's the dude that does this? He's like, I can fix the water. Bobby? Okay.
Yeah, Bobby.
And Bobby's like, I can fix the water. And he starts turning the wheel. And lo and behold, these three, spears or something, just jab
harpoons.
Harpoons. They just
because when they find when they go into the weapons cache, everybody starts loading up on guns. But there's also spear guns and harpoons and stuff like that.
I missed that.
Yeah, they jab him in the chest or whatever, and he's dead as fuck. So he's the next one gone.
Oh yeah.
And
then next scene we show somebody thoroughly washing their hands because they were taking care of this body. And my note here is I'd wash my hands of this movie too.
We also get a history lesson next because Clifton Collins is telling us about there were these settlers from England that came to America, and then they all disappeared, and the only word left was Croatoan, and that's the word that the letters on our jackets spell out. Isn't that interesting?
You'd never heard of this before?
Number one, I had never heard of it, and number two, I just didn't think it needed to be in this movie. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Well, I mean, the idea that everybody on the island is going to disappear without a trace.
I guess.
It's a stretch. It's a real stretch.
Yeah, and it's also just an unnecessary scene.
No, it's padding to the extreme. I mean, this really, you could take this right out of the film and it would have no effect on anything.
Well, I feel that they did this so they could show just how super smart these super smart people are, even though they're not super smart at all.
Well, we do get a super smart montage, CSI style here, because now they're looking on the blacklight. They're looking at the blacklight lettering. They're checking to see whose penis it's from. They find blood under Rafe's nails, and they're like, "Oh, we get to match the blood. Everybody, give us your blood samples. We're gonna have this ready in an hour." And I'm like, "An hour?
And
What is this, fucking lens crafters?
just to remind everybody, we did find a watch or a clock that was set
goes
to
on your
90
wrist.
minutes, so we're up against it now at this
We
point.
are. We're up against a ticking clock for this entire movie. Like every like 10 minutes, there's a new like, oh, it's a ticking clock. We only have 90 minutes. We only have an hour. We only have 45 minutes. It's like, okay.
So we have a thrilling lab scene.
Oh, very much like The Thing, just as thrilling as the scene in The Thing. Just kidding. I didn't fucking say that for real.
Right about the time the results are about to come up, everyone advises put your guns on the table. So everybody's got to kind of put their guns on the table, and of course, Clifton Collins is like, "Nah, my gun goes with me wherever I go. You're not getting my gun. You'll get my chair before you get my gun." And then LL Cool J it's LL Cool J, doesn't he? He just bops him and takes his gun.
He kicks him backwards in his chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, take your chair too.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to note earlier, when LL Cool J does turn off the breaker box, he takes the time to say, "Lights out." That could have
You
meant
got to get those cool action quips in.
that could have meant someone's death. that hesitation, that moment of hesitation, could have resulted in Clifton Collins getting electrocuted and dying. Anyway, let's go back to this.
The results come in, and it is not Hillary Swank.
Sarah is the killer?
Grab your guns.
It's time for another standoff.
Yeah, so we find out it's Sarah, and everyone's freaking out, and like I know that she's like the one they find like it's her blood or whatever, but holy shit, they are just like tossing her around the room and like smacking her into the ground. Like, guys, she's unarmed now. Like, calm down.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and Jonny Lee Miller is like, we don't know for sure that it's her. It can't be Sarah. And Patricia Velasquez is like, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm much safer on my own.
Oh my god.
I'm an FBI profiler in training. I'm going to leave this group and go by myself where there are traps everywhere.
Before that, Vince tells them why Sarah would have done it, mentioning her sister.
Oh,
Is that the first time we find out about the sister?
To me, I think, because I knew at the beginning the drowning scene, but I didn't know what that was. And then when he mentions it here, I was like, oh, okay.
But isn't that a little late in the game to reveal this?
What, an hour and 15 minutes in?
Seems kind of ridiculous that we have this major motivating factor for this character and we only discover it now, despite the fact that she almost drowned once in this film before and it wasn't mentioned.
No,
And they didn't. I can't remember, and I'm certainly not watching it again. They didn't talk about it when Jonny Lee Miller was talking about, I was drinking, I was fat, and I was fucking, and then I turned 11.
I don't think
They
so.
didn't. It didn't happen during that discussion.
I don't think so.
No, because I wrote down, I think this is the first time I've heard that this is her sister that drowned from the opening of the film.
Yeah. But they're all in the room except for Nicole, Patricia Velasquez. She's run out because, again, she's the smart one. She's going off on her own.
Oh yeah, and she makes some great life decisions right about here.
Well, before that, we figure out what the killer is doing, and he's preying off everyone's weaknesses because they're like
skills. Everyone's got skills. We've all got skills.
and then they go, oh, wait a minute, Nicole, and we remember a little scene earlier in the movie where she was trying to quit smoking, and what has she
But
done? She's
here-
found a pack of cigarettes. A really
There's no way that she could not have, because every cigarette machine that they have on the island just starts popping out a pack of smokes. And she's like, there's somebody trying to kill us all, and he's setting traps. Free pack of smokes.
Yep. Start smoking.
Have you guys ever used remote control cars or or planes or anything like that?
Yeah.
The range of remote controls are not that far.
I think this was set on. I think these may have been set on a timer.
But he does specifically say later he
used a little clock that you would fit on your wrist.
but he does specifically say later that he had remote controls in his pocket that he was pressing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it would stretch. It's like the Wi-Fi. It's like the Wi-Fi in Speed 2. Like that's the same thing we're working with here. But yeah, she picks up the cigarette and smokes it, and of course it's like acid
In front of a bunch of like tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
what
you
was
notice that too? Like she had a smoke in front of like all of these like acetylene or nitro tanks. Like
Propane, maybe.
I'm gonna light up right in front of this highly flammable and explosive material.
Yeah.
Well, and the cigarette is too, because as she drops it, it eats its way through the ground. And
I don't think that's how acid works either.
No,
I think it would have eaten this. Wouldn't it have eaten the cigarette?
Probably.
Yeah, it wouldn't have even.
And even if it hadn't, if it was weak enough, the cigarette didn't dissolve in the pack, I don't think her inhaling it would have done the damage that it did. She might have gotten some pretty bad mouth ulcers, but that would have been about it.
I don't know, the science here seems pretty apt.
Yeah. Renny Harlin.
Scientist. But she
Yeah,
does.
I mean, it tears right through her chest like nothing.
Oh, yeah. It kills her like in seconds. And she falls into the water, and then they come back like, well, guys, Nicole's dead, so that's cool. So anyway.
And nobody seems too upset about that.
No, nobody's that upset. Even Sarah, she's like.
Well, yeah, her boyfriend had died first, so.
Sarah is just like, oh, shit. So then we hear Val Kilmer's voice come over the loudspeakers, and we're like, there he is. There's Val.
I was so excited.
He's back.
So we think it's Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, that's right. And he's like, you're never gonna make it as a profiler. Just like some really unmotivated, like non-motivational speaking. And they're going around. They're gonna try to find where it's coming from, but not before LL Cool J handcuffs Clifton Collins' chair to the table because he doesn't want to go. He's like, I'm staying right here, and he's like, well, then you're gonna stay here forever.
And so he starts crawling. He does it in the morgue too, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he crawls over.
Because he starts crawling around. He takes Rafe's gun.
Yeah,
out of the freezer.
And then takes the clip out, and then puts the clip in his gun. Why just not take the fucking gun?
Yeah.
It's not his gun, man.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
It's
where his
your
gun goes, he goes.
Yeah.
Not where Rafe's gun goes.
Yeah, we'll just say what happens to Clifton here first, because he gets Rafe's gun, he takes the bullets out of the clip out of Rafe's gun, puts it in his own gun, because he goes nowhere without his gun. And he crawls his way out. Somebody closes the door on him, but he does manage to pop the door open. So again, why does that happen? Who knows? Who cares? He gets out. He gets into the elevator. He's like waiting for the elevator to get up. He starts to see someone come into view. Oh, shit. He reaches his gun up to shoot, and it blows up in his face. Yeah. Because someone jimmied his gun to shoot back.
Which, I don't know, like, here's the thing. I don't know when that would have had happened.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Jonny Lee Miller was like, oh, hold up, guys. I just got to make a quick stop by Rafe's body.
But that's the thing. It wasn't even, was it the bullets or was it his gun that did it?
Well,
it seemed like it was the gun.
They did take his gun for a bit, didn't they?
Yes, because LL Cool J kicked him in the chest and took it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe when they were standing there, he was just like had the gun behind his back and was just like tinkering with it.
Well, we shouldn't have to speculate as to how that could have happened.
We're doing things the screenwriter didn't. So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he shoots himself in the face. So LL Cool J. Notice also, like, besides Christian Slater, and because we don't know that Val Kilmer is, whatever yet. Besides Christian Slater,
we do, because the stuff that we're talking about is happening at exactly the same time.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, just before this comes up, like, just before we see Val. Besides Christian Slater, they're killing the deaths are kind of in order of ascending star power.
Yeah,
like, because Clifton Collins arguably is like more well known than, I don't know, like the first guy that died, or the first guy after Christian Slater that dies, or like the like Rafe or whatever. Like, I just,
because he certainly would have had like the what was it, Dirty, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. He was also in the second Boondock Saints movie around this time.
Oh, Clifton Collins, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was at least a name that people had heard of. I just thought
he was kind of on the rise, sort of.
I thought it was funny because it's like, oh, we're down to Jonny Lee Miller, LL Cool J, and the lead actress. Weird. But they go in. They finally find the room where they think they'll find Val Kilmer, and they do find Val Kilmer. However, he's hung up like a fucking puppet.
Yep.
A marionette, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the voice is a recording.
The voice is a recording of like him being threatened by whoever the killer is.
Oh, and him berating the killer as, yeah.
But weirdly enough, they don't even suspect that it's a recording, even though they hear the message on a loop. Like, there's a part where he repeats the same thing, and they're just like, we gotta find him. I'm like, guys, FBI profilers.
Yeah.
Terrible at their jobs.
In training.
Oh, sorry. Because when you were
Bottom of their class.
yeah. Bottom of the. I think even bottom of your class, you should have some basic common sense.
You know, it'd be a fun movie if they took this idea and made a comedy out of it, where you had the worst profilers as the last guys left to work a serial killer case.
Will Ferrell and John Heder in Mindhunters.
Guest starring John C. Reilly.
So yeah, Val Kilmer is dead as fuck. And then after they discover that, that stupid music starts playing again. And this time when they turn it off, though, there's no Rube Goldberg device that blows liquid nitrogen at them.
Right.
But the power does go out like everywhere. Like the whole island goes out.
And probably the creepiest part of this movie when Jake's body starts dancing. Like,
oh yeah,
that's really just gross. Like, it's like it's like, whoa, no.
So they're out in the street. Everyone's a suspect. They're all shooting at each other because no one knows who to trust. And we see Jonny Lee Miller get shot multiple times. And then this is when I know the movie's dumb up to this point, but this is when it really crosses over because anytime a character gets someone else down, they act like a serial killer. Like they act like they're the killer, which is
my note here is LL Kill J.
It's supposed to throw us off, but it shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense in the movie. Like, why would LL Cool J stand over him and be like, "I got you. Now I'm gonna find Sarah."
See, that's the thing. As we're talking about this, the stuff that happened with Clifton Collins Jr. and this whole thing in the street where LL Cool J shoots Jonny Lee Miller, they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Which leads us to a logistical problem as to when Clifton Collins and his gun, has his gun explode in his face because he sees who the killer is and he goes, "You!" and he tries to shoot him and kaboom, kablamo.
Who did he shoot at? He tried to shoot at then.
I wonder if he didn't really see who the killer was, though. Like, I know he saw someone.
But there was still somebody there, though.
Well, but even when the elevator opens, Sarah's there, though.
But
so
that's later on.
Right? But I mean, I think the movie there is like, ooh, is Sarah the killer? And I'm like, fucking Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying that there's some timeline issues.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
It's not the most tightly plotted film.
No.
But LL Cool J finds Sarah, and they have a confrontation, and they start going after each other. And I'm like, oh, okay, movie, LL Cool J is the villain. Oh, wait, it's Sarah. Oh, wait, where's Jonny Lee Miller?
Yeah, he shows up, and they have a kitchen fight. I only have that note because I think LL Cool J does a kip-up. During the fight.
What I enjoyed most about this fight scene between LL Cool J and Jonny Lee Miller is the like wow wow with the bow bow.
Bow ba da dow ba dang dang diggy dig.
That's great. This fucking score. And Johnny and they have a crazy fight. They both
right after a crazy fight between LL Cool J and Sarah.
Yeah,
like he beats the hell out of her.
Jonny Lee Miller has been shot, and even if he is wearing a bulletproof vest, he is gotta be hurting.
Yeah.
But they crash through like the glass roof of like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like
it's
I
crazy.
just thought it was like a greenhouse.
Yeah, all I have here is stop the damn match. I can't. You gotta stop it. He's got a family.
Yeah, if you fall 2 stories through a glass window onto steel staircases with LL Cool J on top of you, you are dead. That's
yeah. Dennis Leary fell just over a ledge onto some stairs in Judgment Night, and it killed him. And Emilio Estevez did not fall on him.
Yes, but let me ask you this question: were they wearing a bulletproof vest?
No.
That also stops you from dying from falling too.
from having your back just crushed.
Yeah. So Jonny Lee Miller gets up and he's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad you found out LL Cool J was the bad guy and everything. I totally wore this bulletproof vest. We can live happily ever after. Man, he was so evil. I'm totally the good guy." And we find out that Sarah had a bit of a plan, is that she set all the clocks behind by 15 minutes because she knows the weakness of the killer is that he has such precision and everything needs to be exact and timed to the letter. And she's like, so because all of us had that shit on our hand, or because I put the shit on the clock, like the jizz that was on their backs.
That was
earlier.
on their back, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the
Wait. Sarah jizzed on him?
Yeah. It's complicated. It's a very progressive film.
Hey, look, you know what? DNA will show up regardless of whether it's semen or vaginal fluid. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Wow,
Right.
I never thought I'd hear the words vaginal fluid on this episode, but hey.
Well, now that we have a profile
On this episode.
Yeah, not the show.
You were suspecting to hear it at least one point on our podcast,
yeah,
though, right?
Obviously.
Okay.
One day. But she smeared it. No, now I'm just thinking
She smeared it.
Smeared that vaginal fluid all over the clock. And whoever has it on their hands is obviously the one that put the clock back to what it should be. So she's checking LL Cool J's hands, and she's like, wait a second. And then Jonny Lee Miller makes the stupidest mistake of just holding his hand up in the air being like, oops, you got me.
Guess you got me, yeah.
Just play it off like you might have gotten away with it. But yeah, we find out Jonny Lee Miller is indeed the killer. And we find out that he killed his parents when he was a child. And he said, and what happened? The officer gave me gum. So I thought, I can get away with it. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing it.
Yes, and he compares it to like to a drug high.
Yeah. We basically get a Saw monologue at this point.
Yeah.
Because he's
Kind
like,
of.
this is how I did everything. Flashback, flashback, flashback.
Even if it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. So they go out, they have their fight. He takes Sarah and like starts to drown her in the water, and she's like, "Wait a second, I'll just pretend to drown." Kicks him into the water, and then quite possibly, and I know this is tough, but this might be the stupidest part, is that they're both in the water.
This is the greatest moment ever, by the way. This is why I own this movie.
They reach their arms. By the way, they're shooting at each other.
They have a
in
drowning
the water.
standoff. Just get to it. They have a drowning standoff.
But they first of all, they shoot at each other in the water. I just want to mention that first.
Yep.
And yeah.
And it goes pew, pew. It's like which is, I will say this. I will credit this to this movie. There's some physics in relation to that the bullets would actually be affected by the trajectory because of the water, which is oftentimes in movies never addressed.
Yeah.
You can shoot straight as an arrow underwater for some reason.
Yep.
They're both right near the surface. They both
the best.
lift their arms up with their guns pointed at each other as a standoff. Be
like periscopes.
And they're like, whoever needs air first is gonna get shot.
And I gotta say this, impressive on not Anne Heche's part, because she is already been under the water considerably longer than Sherlock Holmes, and he is the one who needs the air before her.
Yep.
And she was being choked also.
Yeah.
Exactly. He pops up and she shoots him in the chest. They both get out of the water. He's still alive, and she's gonna arrest him. But then. What is he? I forget what he does. He like reaches for the gun or oh no, LL Cool J shows up and like throws the watch, and he's like, no, I need my watch, and then they shoot him in the head and it's over.
He turns to fall in. They shoot him, and he stands up a little bit, and you expect him just to kind of fall over, given the fact that he's been shot dead now. But no, the next shot is him falling over into the water, which is like he did like a 90-degree turn and then fell in the water, which I felt was just the most unbelievable part of this movie.
Oh yeah. If this movie committed any crimes, it's just this scene.
And he has LL Cool J has is it LL Cool J or is it Sarah that has the most fucking Homer Simpson-esque line?
This is it.
Where it's like, yeah, thank you. You go ahead then if it's your favorite line.
Oh. Well, okay. He said, well,
I'll give it to you.
They were talking about everybody's weaknesses earlier, right? So he's like, I guess we found out his weakness. Bullets.
Spoiler alert, everybody's weakness.
He also says to Sarah, because she knocked him out earlier, he says, "Good thing you hit like a girl." All right, thanks, I guess.
That's that. Yep.
And yeah, when he says, I guess we found his weakness, bullets, I wrote down, and that's why you never became an FBI profiler. Guys, guess what? This killer, I bet you I know how we can get him. Oh, you have a lead? Yep, I have this gun and it's got bullets in it. I feel like if we put it into his head, he'll stop murdering.
Looking back at it, I'm trying to figure out the timeline. I shouldn't do this. It's a waste of time. But trying to figure out the timeline, because we see that Val Kilmer and the FBI agents are watching on cameras, right? They are in that secure booth wherever they are.
Yes.
When did Lucas, Jonny Lee Miller, set up all the things that happened without being seen? Or did they kill Kilmer first and then go and do all that?
The only way it works is if he kills Kilmer first.
Kilmer
first, yes.
Which still doesn't help. Like that doesn't leaves a lot of logical gaps. But
we see Jonny Lee Miller in bed the night the dominoes are set up.
Yeah.
Like he's there. Yeah. So what? It doesn't make any sense.
I think guys, we forgot to watch the deleted scenes. It's actually an alien wearing a Jonny Lee Miller suit. And he just left his Jonny Lee Miller suit there. That's what we see in the bed.
Now it makes sense.
My biggest question about this actually arose from the credits, in that I saw that one of the writers was Wayne Kramer. Brother Wayne Kramer.
The cooler.
Oh, I was gonna say the dude from MC5.
Oh, I actually know Wayne Kramer. I actually know some stuff that he's done. I actually, that's why I was shocked to see his name.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's the same Wayne Kramer that I'm thinking of.
No, he did a great movie called The Cooler with Alec Baldwin and William H. Macy, and he also did Running Scared with Paul Walker.
So this film had an uncredited rewrite by Aaron Kruger. I really would love to see what it was like before he got his hands on it, because what was this plot like? I mean, he's a pretty good writer, Aaron Kruger, and to see what this movie would have been before he rewrote it, oh, what a mess it must have been.
He must have been like, guys, you can't have everyone be the killer at the end. We need to change that twist.
Also, how is Lucas's character supposed to be there at the elevator when he's supposed to be shot dead?
And then they're like, no, you got to leave that part in.
I just want to talk a bit about some alternate casting that almost happened. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Really?
Yeah, so originally Jonny Lee Miller's character first, it was offered to Gerald Butler, which makes...
Gerard Butler?
Doing a
Gerard
southern
Butler?
accent?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
And then it was...
Considering how well he did in Saw Abiding Punisher.
Right.
Then it was offered to Ryan Felipe.
I could see that.
he turned it down, and then it ended up with Jonny Miller. And then part of the Ryan Felipe offer was that the Sarah Moore character would have been played by Reese Witherspoon.
I could see that.
I certainly would have been. I wouldn't have been spending this entire episode calling her not Anne Heche or.
See, that would have been another. That would have been another like star too in this movie.
Oh yeah. And Val Kilmer was the last of 4 choices for his character.
Oh. Let me guess: Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, and Oscar Isaac.
0 for 3. First up was Christopher Walken. Then it was Martin Sheen.
Okay.
And then Gary Busey.
Wait, what?
Not Ullman, Busey.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine Gary Busey eating cake at the first of this movie?
No, he would have eaten a full cake.
It would have been a handful.
You all failed.
You gotta be smart. You gotta be smart like me. You're only gonna be profilers. Gotta be profilers. You gotta look at every clue. Every clue.
You guys like Buddy Holly? You ever think about hobbits?
Hey, Gary, we're gonna start shooting now, okay?
Shooting what?
Shooting what?
I don't do that anymore. Not since the 70s. Let's go around the horn though. Let's see if any of us will recommend this movie. Francis, what do you say? What do you think? Should people watch this film?
No, but if you can find the shootout scene from the end on YouTube, definitely watch the shootout scene.
Yeah, like Nathan said,
the
the
best.
drowning standoff.
Yes.
Yes.
Nathan, what are
Nothing
you
like
saying about this film?
No, not at all. This movie is relegated to the forgettable pile. Don't bother.
Yeah, I will also say as well, if this had pushed more, it was ridiculous and dumb, but if it had pushed more into that, like I was kind of entertained at times by how stupid it was, but it didn't push it hard enough to get a full like recommend in that regard. On that note, we are going to take a brief break, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
What Were They Thinking is brought to you by HostGator. HostGator is a leading provider of shared, reseller, VPS, and dedicated hosting solutions. Award-winning support is available 24/7, 365 days a year via phone, email, and live chat. Discover why over 9 million websites trust HostGator. Use the coupon code SCHLOCK for 25% off your first purchase. That's SCHLOCK, SCHLOCK, for 25% off your first purchase.
What Were They Thinking is brought to you today by GameItAll.com. Whether it's video game news, the latest in music, or movie reviews, GameItAll.com is your one-stop shop for all nerdy talk.
What were they thinking?
And we're back, and it's time to get poetic here on What Were They Thinking.
Yes.
Yes.
It's time for the low haiku.
What is the low haiku, Nathan?
Well, the low haiku, Brendan, is 17 perfect syllables to describe a fairly forgettable movie that we've been talking about for about an hour and a half.
So, as our guest, Francis, would you like to start with your low haiku?
Absolutely. I would absolutely love to give my low haiku. Can we have more Val? No, he had some other plans. Here's LL Cool J.
Very good, very good. All right, I'll read my haiku here. So the question is, who caused this criminal act? Who greenlit this shit? Thank you. Nathan, take the floor.
How do you mind hunt Jonny Lee Miller's accent? A drowning standoff.
And we're out. We're out. Ah.
Yes, we're out.
Oh.
Oot.
Oh.
Oot.
Ah.
Oot in a boot.
Oot in a boot. Hey.
Because we're Canadian, eh?
But Nathan, we talked about this movie, but what do we always say?
Well, I'll tell you what there, eh? We always say,
Don't take a word for it.
Oh, what are we saying? What is Rotten Tomatoes saying for this movie, Nathan?
oof. The critics gave it 24%.
So quarter of the critics liked it enough to pass.
However, the audience were a tad more forgiving. At 57%, almost fresh.
That's kind of wild.
Well, fandom, right?
And I'll tell you that from doing KilmerKast that the vast majority of the films have that kind of split where the critic reviews are well low and the audience reviews are well high. And it's always, I love Val Kilmer. I'll watch him in anything, basically.
Yeah. As much of Kilmer as you can grab, which is in this movie, not so much. So let's go through some of these critics here. So our Richard Roper, the critic that really made it big out of the Chicago scene, he says, it was supposed to open in the spring of 2003, but they kept pushing back the release date. They should have kept pushing.
Well, our late great friend of the podcast, Ken Hankey from the Mountain Express, Nashville, North Carolina, he wrote in 2005 that the question is supposed to be, who is the killer? The question that actually emerges, though, is, why should we care?
Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle wrote, "As effective as a movie can be, and yet still be 100% forgettable."
James Kendrick of the Q Network Film Desk, I'm assuming affiliation with QAnon.
QAnon, it has to be.
Yeah. This is their movie review division.
They probably have that, right? I mean, like, they have to.
Sure they do. More so than any other action director, Harlin is able to take mediocre and often outlandishly stupid scripts and punch them up into endlessly watchable guilty pleasure gold. Sometimes.
Yes,
Sometimes.
Not always.
Not this time. I will watch the hell out of Ford Fairlane. And Long Kiss Goodnight.
Long Kiss Goodnight, I'm with you.
Tell me, Ford Fairlane was amazing.
Long Kiss Goodnight, I'm right there with you.
Oh, who are you talking with this fucking guy over here? Susan Walker of the Toronto Star gave this film a 2 out of 4.
Oh.
And she writes, "It didn't take much mental power to come up with the plot, eh?"
Fair enough, Susan.
I see Betty Jo Tucker of Real Talk Movie Reviews actually gave a fresh review. And she said, "The spirit of Agatha Christie hovers over Mindhunters." I can't even read it straight. The spirit of Agatha Christie hovers over Mindhunters, a suspenseful mystery with plenty of suspects to keep viewers guessing about the identity of a serial killer.
Yeah, I
Everyone-
think of the genius writing of Agatha Christie when I watch this movie. Knives Out, come on. I'm all about that Mindhunters, baby. I've got Dustin Putnam from the filmfile.com. He says, "There is no necessary tension, no memorable characters, and no sense of fun. Instead, Renny Harlin just lines up his cast and knocks off their boring asses one at a time."
Right to it.
Well, I'm taking a bit of a swerve here, bro. Instead of reading an actual critic review, I'm going to actually read the critic's consensus line here, babe. From Rotten Tomatoes.
Let me tell you what they're all saying, babe.
The only reason why I bring this up is because you guys had mentioned Agatha Christie before. The critics' consensus listed on Rotten Tomatoes says a retread of 10 Little Indians that lacks the source material's wit.
A lot less Indians, though. Sean Means of the Salt Lake Tribune says, "Director Renny Harlin ignores logic or coherence, intent on stylishly showing people dying in the most creatively gruesome way possible." And that sums it up.
Yeah. Well, guys, we need to get into the real geniuses here on Rotten Tomatoes. We need to read some of
Real
the
genius,
audience
huh?
reviews. Oh, shit. Look at that. Better movie. Much better movie.
Maybe a bit.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into these audience reviews here. Our first one, this is a pretty brief one, but it's from Patrick S. And he gives
Patrick
it...
Stewart?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. So Patrick Stewart says, "Interesting movie. Good ending. 1.5 stars."
Oh,
I don't get the
What?
correlation there. Yeah.
yeah, he seems pretty positive right till he gets the star rating in there. Well, I've got one from Adam R. Assuming it's Adam Rabinowitz.
Sure.
It's this guy I went to high school with.
Okay.
And he writes, "Oh yeah, choppy action movie that could have been made better. A couple of nice twists, but it wasn't my cup of tea. First and only viewing, 7/14/2019, 2.5 out of stars."
Alex K. Alex Keaton, obviously.
Alex P. Keaton, my goodness.
shit.
He dropped the P now that he's an adult. He gave that all up.
Time to
So-
grow up, Alex.
You know, it's a good review when you use the word "but" twice in the same sentence.
Ooh.
Enjoyable film. It's not crap, but it's no mind blower. But it's not a waste of time. 4 or 5 stars.
All right, I've got a wild one here from Adam K. I got nothing for that.
I got nothing on that one.
There's a lot of capital letters. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay. "This is fucking cube carbon copy without any cubes whatsoever. Character archetypes, music, crappy FX from the time of Cube Zero. They were even lamer. Even the cast is more the same, although it's rather mixed between Hypercube and Cube. Number 1, and I'm reading this review, guys, black crazy shit guy from good to evil shit bad cop Cube. Number 1. Yes, he says number 1 again. Smart blonde, psycho, hypercube, handicap guy, mixed bag, a little savant, and old lady, go figure. Guy who knows too much, duh, reference to the math girl from First Cube. Dumb chick, something new, Cube 0. Killer, alright, it just doesn't fit to Cube thingy, but hell, let's add it to the list. And one more guy I can't recognize just because I ran out of compars. Ending sucks. Underwater mind battle. This movie. All-time low. Half out of stars.
I will say this, Mr. Brennan. I was listening to your review. If you translate into language from old country, review makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Milos.
I'm glad to help. Hello, Mr. Francis. Those are nice shoes.
Oh, get away
you
from
very
us, Francis. Don't.
Get away from him, Francis. Do not
your
let him
shoes
near
on.
your shoes. Do not let him near your
What's
shoes.
wrong? What's wrong?
He's gonna.
They're just very nice shoes.
No.
If you wouldn't mind, you could take them off, and I would like to look at them. Possibly
sure.
examine
I mean,
them.
I
I
don't
will
mind.
give them back.
Sure,
I
here
will
you
give
go.
them
Milos,
back.
where's Milos?
Oh, hey, hello, Mother Superior.
Get back in the
Are you-
car.
Yes, are you? Remember, safety word is Hail Mary.
Where'd my shoes go?
Oh no.
We warned you, man. Milos took your shoes.
Damn it! It's gonna be a long walk back.
It's gonna be a long. Yes, it's raining out
You
tonight.
have to cross the border too.
That's a real problem.
Oh my God, where are we?
I have a review from Martin S. So it's either Martin Sheen or Martin Short. I'm not sure.
Yeah, or Martin Sisko, the uncle of the singer Sisko.
Okay. Wow. I think it's Martin Sheen.
Oh, okay.
Because he well, I mean, him and Charlie Sheen and Val Kilmer probably would have been kind of friends-ish. He speaks a little kind of glowing. I'm just gonna get.
I mean,
into
they
it.
went to
I'm just gonna
the same drug dealer probably.
Kilmer could have gotten more screen time. Harlin keeps it together pretty well. Could have explored a few areas deeper, maybe. The use of weaknesses, a bit shallow. Coffee, cigarettes, etc. 2 out of stars.
Was he saying it was as good as the movie Coffee and Cigarettes?
Don't know.
Oh.
I've got Chris S., former defenseman for the Phoenix Coyotes, and he is saying, with his
Very good.
1/2 of 5 stars, not even sure what this film was about. Some training program where someone wants to kill the others?
I think you kind of nailed it, Chris.
I guess he paid attention a little bit.
This one is from Dawn C. And Dawn says, I love this movie. It is a cross between, this is how it's spelled, psychological and horror movies. This is not a slash and hackin' movie, although it has a couple of moments about it.
Okay. Well, I have a review here from Dennis L. I can only assume it's Dennis Leary. And he writes, "This is a disaster of a movie. The acting was bad. The story was bad. 2 out of stars."
I'm an asshole. Okay.
I don't know who Yusuf A is, and I'm not going to do a voice to match Yusuf A,
That's a good idea.
but he gave 4 out of 5 stars. I will attempt to read this phonetically
Okay.
because it's something else. Hi, Dastras. I think you should watch it. It's like you don't who the main culprit is until you see the last scene. That made the movie more special. The whole time you keep on guessing. 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Okay, I've got one more here from Clarence C. Clarence Clemens. He says, Mindhunters is a very nice movie. It keeps you guessing till the end, but only if you haven't seen the film yet. 4 stars.
I have one that's kind of confusing, and I think, Brendan, it's someone who wishes they were both of us. Because it's from super reviewer Brendan N.
Wow. Okay.
And they write, the film was let down by Harlin at the helm. The filmmaker is a safe choice for the action beats, but the character moments are eye-rolling or time-passing at the best. Val Kilmer and Christian Slater are the only real reasons to watch this film and offer a glimmer of hope, but sadly the overall film is a mess. The concept was interesting and in the right hands could have been a guilty pleasure. I watched this again as I had some downtime and I thought it might have grown into something better, but sadly, it's still the average thriller. It was all those years ago, a mess of storytelling, and clearly had some behind-the-scenes issues that were hard to disguise. There are better thrillers out there. 29/03/2019. Review posted July 4th, 2011.
What?
2.5 out of stars.
He was holding it for 2 years.
Or he's a time traveler.
Oh shit.
He's a time traveler. Clearly, he watched it in 2019 and went back to 2011 to post it.
I've got one from Richard M. I don't know who Richard M. is, but
Richard Marx.
Sure, Richard Marx.
Richard Marx?
Yeah.
So he says, I was so excited about this movie, but man, it was a big crap sandwich, and the filling was disappointment. 1 star.
What? Hold on a second.
It was a shit sandwich, and you were disappointed with the shit that was the filling.
Like, it was a shit sandwich, but I usually enjoy a good shit sandwich.
Bit of a letdown.
Good lord. All right, well, those are the reviews. Nathan, is Montrose around to say give us a quick little a message here? Montrose Monkington? Okay.
He is. Yep. No, I'll get him just a second. Hello! It's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here. And I would like to take this time to invite all of the listeners of What Were They Thinking to come over to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV. And if you like what you see there, you could be friends with me on Facebook at the group Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. And finally, if you want to tweet me, you can get at me on the Twitter box at Montrose III. That's the number 3RD. Thank you. More later. Francis, it was nice to meet you.
You as well.
That was bananas.
Stop it with that. That's not okay.
I'm sorry. I went a little ape shit.
Awful! I'm a chimpanzee. Thank you.
You're right. Let's not monkey around. Let's continue.
Better.
So before we get into the plugs, we should talk about what's coming up next week. So next week is another Patreon pick. So Nathan, do you have a little hintsky for the listeners?
I do, actually. Next week, we'll be talking about my old alma mater, where I graduated Naksu Cal.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you have it. That's what we're going to do next week. And as we're wrapping up here, I want to thank again Francis. Thank you for coming on to the show. And you also have a podcast, so tell the good people out there where they can find you talking all about Val Kilmer.
Sure. My podcast is KilmerKast, 1 word, 2 Ks. And so we are working our way through the filmography of one Val Kilmer. And we are going back and forth from his oldest films to his newest films, and we'll meet in the middle. The final episode will be Spartan. And so every 2 weeks, a new episode comes out on Saturday, and you can find it in all your regular, friendly neighborhood podcast dealers. And please check it out. And we got some really fun episodes coming up.
And where can they find you on like Twitter and all that stuff?
Sure. I'm on Twitter. It's Francis Rizzo III, FRANCIS RIZZO number 3.
So with that being said, you can also find us on all the podcast apps. Our home base is ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking. You can find us on whatever app you use. We're there. I'm sure if you look it up, you'll find us. Sorry guys, I'm getting tired. we're on Facebook. Just search for us there. We're on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. You can sign up there as well. We also have Redbubble, TeePublic, all that good stuff. And I think that's it. So I guess Nathan, I just have to ask if you have any questions.
I got some questions. I mean, with a movie that's directed by I mean, an auteur in Renny Harlin.
Benjamin Harlin.
Obviously. With a movie like that, and you have a star-studded ensemble cast, Christian Slater and Jonny Lee Miller and Clifton Collins Jr., Val Kilmer, LL Cool J, not Anne Heche. And with a movie where they're basically retreading 10 Little Indians, as we mentioned, and with a movie where you have Slater and Kilmer as your two top billing characters, yet they are gone within the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta know.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
You see my hands are steady. You've seen my face before. Soon you can take your last look, and they'll close the door. I stand accused before you. I have no tears to cry, and you will never break me till the day I die. A criminal mind is all I've ever known. They tried to reform me, but I'm made of cold stone. My criminal mind is all I've ever had. Ask one who's known me if I'm really so